This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Ryan Walters is the Oklahoma State Superintendent of Public Education, Public Instruction, I think the office is called. He did a little video the other day. You know, it just baffles me. I'm not shocked by it, but it always still surprises me that people who claim to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, oftentimes those same people end up being that domestic threat to the aforementioned Constitution. And Ryan Walters is absolutely one of these dangerous Christo-fascist nutballs. He did a little video talking about needing pornography, graphic, hardcore pornography out of schools, which is nonsense. It's not there. And replacing it with the Constitution and the Federalist Papers and the Bible. Of course, it's always the Bible. Doesn't matter if your son or daughter, your child is Muslim or a nun, someone who doesn't have a faith tradition. It doesn't matter. The Christian version, his particular flavor of Christianity will be a boot on the neck of you and your children. His outlook, his worldview will be yours, whether you like it or not. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of different sects of Christianity, different doctrines of Christianity. I myself grew up in a radical Pentecostal type, talking in tongues and dancing around, Christian nationalist, kind of non-denominational, couldn't be pinned down, kind of a flavor. But if you grew up a Lutheran or an Episcopalian, it wasn't your thing. If you grew up Catholic, it certainly wasn't your thing. I grew up being taught that the Mormon church was a vile, sinister cult, and so did I believe that the Catholic Church was. So do you want my upbringing, that particular flavor of Christianity, to rule us all? Because I can tell you the people I was raised by, they don't want the Catholic Church being the one to tell us all. And the people who founded our country and wrote the documents and put together the principles that would ultimately become the Constitution, they understood this as well. You hear all the time how George Washington was a mighty Christian man, and I think he mentioned God explicitly, like one time in all of the writings. It was more talking about providence. It was more talking about a deist kind of conception of faith. But you won't hear that from Ryan Walters. In fact, I'm going to play this clip, and then we're going to talk about what he wants in school, especially relative to the pornography angle. Watch this.
Oklahomans, we have a clear choice in front of us. When it comes to our schools, do we want the radical ideology into our classroom that pushes gender theory, that pushes graphic pornography in order to perform a social experiment on our kids? Or do we want the U.S. Constitution? Do we want documents like the Federalist Papers and the Bible so that our kids understand our history and how our government was put together? Those core fundamental principles that have made us the greatest country in the history of the world. Real Americans know that we've got to support our kids by giving them a great understanding of our history. Radical leftists in the Biden administration, they would prefer to sexualize our kids.
Graphic pornography, that's the accusation here. That the left, the dangerous left, and Black Lives Matter and critical race theory, leftist, communist, Marxists, they're pushing pornography, graphic pornography. Lucky for Ryan Walters, I got my Bible here. This is one of the three documents he mentioned. He wants them taught in school. One was the Constitution of the United States of America. One, of course, was the Federalist Papers. And then his Bible that is emblazoned with the American flag on the cover seems antithetical to what the creator of the universe would want. But he wants the Bible taught in primary school, in elementary school, to children. because he's afraid of graphic pornography. I will switch glasses because once again, my eyes decided to quit. 10 minutes after turning 40, let's read from Genesis chapter 19, verses 31 through 36, about Lot and his daughters, if you remember this story from Bible school. Oh, now the firstborn said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man on the earth to come into us, meaning to have sex with us, to come into us as is the custom of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him," which in we're going to get him drunk, and he's going to have sex with us. These daughters about their father. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father. That means she had sex with the father, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Apparently he was so passed out and having sex and he didn't know. It happened on the next day that the firstborn said to the younger daughter, "Indeed, I lay with my father last night. Let us make him drink wine tonight also, and you go in and have sex with him and lie with him." Then they made their father drink wine and that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Thus, both the daughters of Lot were with child by their father. Is this not graphic pornography? I mean, you have a kindergartner reading this, asking questions, and you got to explain that to a little girl that, they had sex with their daddy. They got their daddy drunk and had sex. Is this what Ryan Walters wants in primary school? Let's go to the story of Onan here. By the way, only pages apart. This is Genesis 38, 8 through 10. And Judah said to Onan, "Go into your brother's wife and marry her and raise up an heir to your brother. Have sex and impregnate your brother's wife." But Onan knew that the heir would not be his, and it came to pass when he went into his brother's wife that he emitted on the ground. That means rather than have sex with his brother's wife, he masturbated and ejaculated on the ground. This is graphic pornography, is it not? This is what Ryan Walters wants taught in schools. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord. God, according to this, does not like jerking off on the rocks, so he killed Onan. Ryan Walters, education, everybody. 1 page away, Genesis 38, 15 through 18. And this is the last one. Just hang on. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a harlot. He thought she was a prostitute. Ends up being his daughter-in-law, but he has sex with her. I'll read. He thought she was a harlot, a prostitute, because she had covered her face. That's all it took. It's just cover the face and you don't know who people are. Then he turned to her, by the way, and said, "Please let me come into you." That means have sex with. For he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. So she said, "What will you give me that you may come into me?" And he said, "I will send a young goat from the flock." So she said, "Will you give me a pledge till you send it?" Then he said, "What pledge shall I give you?" So she said, fantastic writing, by the way. So she said, "Your signet and cord and your staff that is in your hand." Then he gave them to her and went into her, and she conceived by him. He had sex with his daughter-in-law that he thought was a prostitute. So he thought he was having sex with a prostitute, but it ended up being, through trickery, his daughter-in-law. Ryan Walters, this is graphic pornography. By his own standard, this is, but because it's the Bible. No, look. Let me also say this. Am I absolutely not paying attention to any nuance or context related to what these stories are about, both their historicity or the concepts, the broad concepts that they're communicating? Absolutely, I'm not even addressing that. I'm treating this text like they're treating the texts that they want banned from school. The same books that they want banned contain the same types of features and stories and concepts that the Bible does, but they can't have that. Graphic graphic pornography, the left. It's all a ruse. It's all nonsense. It is trying to inflict their way of life, not their way of life, because Ryan Walters isn't some pious man. He's a faker. He's a phony like all of the rest of them. But they want to control people. That is what this is about. The same way that religion has been used for thousands and thousands of years to control people, they want to continue this long tradition into the future. Anyway, I'd love to know. If you live in Oklahoma, I'd really love to know. This guy won his election by nearly 20 points, 15 points or so. It is a nightmare what is being promulgated. The other thing he said, by the way, I wrote it down as he said it, real Americans know blah, blah, blah. He's talking about white Christian nationalism. Real Americans, he means white Christians. What do you think? Call me, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I'd love to hear from you. I really would. This is important because this is only going to get worse. And the more that they do it, the more people they convince it's dangerous. If you appreciate what I do and you want to help support my work, go over to my Patreon page. First and foremost, that would be fantastic. Patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast, or click the join button below right here on YouTube and become a channel member for as little as $2 a month. Follow me on social media. I'm at Dollemore all over the place. And how's this for a thumbnail? I love you guys. I appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.